Hello, everyone. Welcome to this latest episode of the Excel podcast with a returning guest today. I'm very pleased to have back with me Alison Harper. You may remember Alison's been on before. She is, in fact, our social media consultant, but she's actually asked to come on today to talk about something that she's working on to do with the whole idea of running a social media for your own business, and not just, as I understand it, to do with driving schools. So, Alison, thanks very much for taking the time to come on today. You can just probably say something a bit more accurate about what we're going to talk about today.
No, there's nothing wrong with what you said. Thank you for having me. What I wanted to bring out was a product or service for businesses, and this is generally what I find who come to me as small or new businesses on a small or newer scale, which I love because it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But what I come across, which I know we all do, is people who don't have the funding to hire a marketer. And so I wanted to bring out a product for those people really who run their own, but they don't really know what they're doing. So they could do
Right.
with that help, but they just don't have the budget. So what I've basically done is put all of my 12 plus years experience, knowledge, what I know works and doesn't work into short videos and formed a video hub.
Right. I know you did sort of do a prototype of this sort of thing with the dynamic duo make up knowledgeably instructor training. But things have developed since then. So this is a standalone product away from the boys.
That's right. Yeah. This was something I'm very good with my own business. I hear this is quite common where I think of an idea, but then I think and think and think. Instead of doing it, I just think about it a lot. That's quite a common thing, apparently. And Mick did approach me and said, could you do us a few videos for their video hub? Which, like you say, is solely for ADIs, PDIs, driving instructors, anyone, driving instructor trainers, anybody in that industry. I thought, well, why not? And so I basically did them 10, and there were the basics. Now, the problem is, right, and people do realise this in a way, but a lot of people don't, is there is a lot that goes into social media marketing. There's a lot that goes into marketing and business. We all know that because we've all done it.
Yeah.
You know, people forget that I had to market my own business, and I still do. And so there is a lot. So those videos were kind of like, I always make my videos bite-sized just because if you look at social media nowadays, it's all this video content and they want it to be shorter and more to the point, don't they? I think attention spans have
yes, as I know only too well.
Yes, well, you do now. Now you're brave for TikTok. So my advice that I gave, generally when people come to me, it's mainly Facebook. Some come for Instagram, and people are quite scared of TikTok. There's still that common consensus that it's young people dancing. And now we've got Kevin on doing theory test questions, so it's not always young people dancing, is it? And I haven't got you to dance yet.
You've tried to get older people dancing, which hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. No, not yet.
Tell you what, when I go to the conference in September, I'll get Mick or Lee to do a duet with me, and we can video that.
Lee will definitely do it. I'll tell you now. I know for a fact he'd do it. You know he will. Mick, as you know, over 2 words, and they won't be printable. So there's a lot goes into marketing and business. And I think when people work with me, the first thing, I've just started with a new client this last week who's in the driving industry, by the way, and you know them. And even they've said, wow, there's so much that goes into this. And I went, yeah, because for it to be successful, it's all little pieces. I always say it's like, look at a Lego house and all the little bits that go into that. And some of those bits are different shapes and sizes. So putting that into video without making those videos 20 minutes long each was a bit of a trick in itself. So yeah, so I just started with like basic ones for the Kit podcast, Kit Video Hub. They have that many products. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, yeah, but I wanted to give information that helps, and it's also getting it across in terms that people understand, because I have my marketing terms, and I know if I sometimes slip them out, people go,
Yeah.
"You are," you know. And yes, that was it. It
So,
basically, I just wanted to get it out there that was easy to understand, that someone
yeah.
could take away and apply to
Right.
their own marketing.
So it's sort of there's sort of separate ones for each of the different social media platforms.
Yes and no, because as you will know yourself, as a
Right.
business who we do your social media on three platforms now. You don't need any more.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, yeah, you've got you
Thank you.
I won't say it. You need to go in another one. No, um, a lot of the advice is cross.
I'll give you the Mick Knowles answer for that. The two word
Can we?
Knowles answer. You'll get to that if you go for number
Well, we
4.
know. Yeah, he probably would, but um, see, Mick, as you know, I worked with a few years. The same as yourself. What is really good is you are aware
Yeah.
of a good social media presence and what that means for your business. And a lot of a
Yeah.
good social media
Yeah.
presence is about brand awareness. And I've even got video. I've got a video talking about brand awareness. A lot of my advice, there are some that are, for example, I'll talk about making over your Facebook page and optimizing it so it looks brilliant and somebody can go to it and see straight away. And everybody I've ever worked with as a one-off or ongoing, right? And this surprises people, but I always find something wrong with the Facebook pages. There's always something wrong. It might
Yeah.
be the cover photo's wrong. Often what I find is because people haven't updated them for a while, and when they made it on a computer, but nobody ever looks at their own Facebook pages for the business, because why would you? I often find just little things like that. It might be like the contact or whatever. So now for me, so I do focus on Facebook quite a bit, but then a lot of advice
Yeah.
is cross-platform, because, for example, we talk about TikTok, but we
Yeah.
know how Reels were brought out by Facebook and Meta to compete with TikTok. So I have a video, for example, talking about Reels and TikToks in one video because they're the same thing, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So yes, there is so much advice that will be for Facebook. There's so much advice for Instagram, so much advice for TikTok, but a lot of it is cross-platform. And what makes the difference is, as you
Yeah.
know, as being a business who's on multiple platforms. Yeah. No, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just about to say that this brand awareness, and a lot of that is down to the regularity of content and staying in people's
It's
minds, even if they're not looking to buy from you straight away. They'll it'll be in their mind somewhere, maybe in the dark grey matter. But when they do need you, think, oh yeah, I remember
yes.
them.
Yeah, and I get clients that way. I mean, I get people come to me and they'll say, "Oh, I've been
Yeah.
meaning to contact you for months or for a year," or "Oh, I've been speaking to people about you," or "Oh, I've had people recommend me to other businesses in our local groups and then hire me 2 years later." So you're right. It's that brand
Yeah.
awareness is
Yeah.
people know you are a brand and they know what you offer, basically, and they know what area you offer it in.
Yes. Yeah. We had one inquiry yesterday from somebody who had done lessons with me, and I'm looking, and I had no recollection of this person at all. So I rang him up yesterday. It turns out, no wonder I didn't remember him. It was 2016 was when he did these lessons, but he'd remembered us.
Everyone remembers the driving instructor. I remember mine, and I didn't pass my test, but I remember my instructor. He was a lovely guy as well. I think he was
Oh,
called
good.
Steve.
It was remembered for good reasons then.
It wasn't his fault I failed my test. It was mine. I could have done with a driving test nerves
Yeah,
workshop,
so
really.
one of the things that has come to mind to me just in the last day or so is one of the things you talk about, I know, is the two-factor authentication as well. So I take it that's covered in one of your videos.
That's actually very early on, and it might seem that it is very early on, but there's a
Yeah, I
reason
thought
for
it
that.
would
When I
be.
first work with anyone, and as you know this, yeah, because I'm going to tell, and I'm going to tell you why, right? So this last month alone, 3 of my Facebook friends got hacked, and one of them has a business, and I went to school with them.
I've thought, yeah, we are. Just in case everybody's wondering why we're talking over each other, we have a little bit of an issue with the internet connection. So apologies for anyone who thinks that we're competing with each other, but there is a bit of a delay on here. But if it's exactly what you've just said about 3 people being hacked. I know of somebody who's had his business hacked in the last day, and he's lost all the records that were on there.
One of my friends who were hacked is my own father. And I think as a social media marketer, I find that quite embarrassing because, yes, but my dad is
Oh,
in his
right.
70s and he's like, oh, this technology is, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but he didn't even realize he'd been hacked. I just said to him, why are you on a weird profile? He went, oh, I can't get into anymore. Yeah. Now, what amazes me is it's very rarely that I start working with someone and they've already got 2FA set up. It's very rarely right, that happens. But so, for example, this last week, one of
Right.
my school friends added me on a new profile. He's an electrician. It's not your business account that gets hacked. We'll mention this, and I do talk about this as well. It's your main account. So when you have Facebook, and we've mentioned this before, you have your main account, and then from that you can create pages and groups.
Right.
It's your main account that gets hacked, and your main account, as you know, it auto creates a profile, but then you
Yeah.
can create. And when
Yeah.
the hackers get in, if you've got a page, they'll remove you as an admin from that page. And that happened to my school friend, which I always find frustrating when it's somebody I know. But I did, as soon as he added me, I kind of checked him before I accepted the friendship because it could have been a cloned profile. And then I did comment and say, look, so and so, please set up 2FA. He says,
Yeah.
don't worry, I already have this time. So I went, set it up. And he said, can I get my page back? I went, well, you can try, but I've never known someone. There's a form you can complete to send off to Meta for a hacked
Yeah.
page. I've never known someone get it back because of the customer services. So what my advice always is, and I'm very big in it, as you know, and I did make a video. I think it's actually the third video. That's how important it is. I do talk about setting up 2FA, and that's not just on Facebook. You need to set it up on Instagram, TikTok, your Google, LinkedIn, everywhere. Had worked with someone, and I'm going back, and I'll tell you when I know when it was because it was on my 50th birthday, 23rd of December, right? Because I took the day off, and it was a Saturday anyway, which I take Saturdays off. But I did actually say to everyone, "It's my birthday. I won't be responding to anything." Well, of
Yeah.
course, I worked with a client, and they got hacked through their email account on my 50th birthday, so I couldn't ignore that, could I? This is it. But I kind of just did say, look, there's these instructions and this is what I can tell you, but I'm going now to celebrate
Yeah.
with my family. But my point is, when I say they got hacked through an email, they got the Gmail account hacked on the phone. Okay. And through that, they hacked their Facebook and whatever else. I don't know what else got hacked. Luckily, I could protect the Facebook because I was an admin. So I was like, right, straight into it. Right, there's the found a dodgy admin in her Facebook page. Luckily, they hadn't removed me. That is really, do you know what I mean? Because she was quick to notice it. And luckily, I was quick to respond, which, like I say, it was my big day. And I
Yeah.
was going, nope, not doing anything today. But with my clients, I'll protect it as much as I can. And that was it. So it's something I'm very passionate about. And like you said it yourself, you know, so three this last month. The saddest one, a friend of mine who got hacked, had a cat who was 15, and he had all videos and photos from 15 years, and he died on New Year's Eve, just gone, right? And she got hacked the month after. And that's all the pictures of him, all the videos of him because she didn't keep them on her phone, or she'd swapped phones, and she was absolutely devastated.
Right. Well, after that hiccup, we're back in now. Well, we were talking. I think we just about done the whole thing about 2FA and how important that is, and the consequences of not having it. So let's go back to this this video hub that you're doing. So it starts off, I assume, with sort of the basic things, and then goes into the more. Cat just walked across the screen. It's exciting here, and again.
Yeah, that's
I love
Harry.
it. Nice tail.
Excuse her backside because she likes showing that to people.
Yes, I've done 3 times. Yeah, so
Yeah, this is why they're not allowed in the office when I'm scheduling. Right. I know it's going all to pot. So basically, like with anything, you've got to start at the bottom. Oh, you might say top, bottom, bottom, top, whichever. You know what I mean? Top down, whatever. But it's like how I wanted to do this was liken it to when I'm working with a client. So when I start working with a business, it's a bit of a similar thing. You start at the very beginning. Excuse Harry's bottom. That's my cat's bottom. She likes showing that. So just the basics of it, really.
at least this is only an audio recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So as you say, for people who haven't got the budget,
basically for people who haven't got the budget, and what they will be getting in what they get in this is, and over time, once I put, I mean, when I say I've got a lot of videos still to make, at the moment it's got 40 on it, and my list I'm updating all the time because it's partly what I did was kind of take apart everything that I do
right.
with someone. So when I first work with someone, as you know, it's identifying your aims, for example, because people will say, well, I'm only doing it for selling. No, you're not just doing it for selling. You should never just do social media for selling because social media isn't for buying. Although people buy from it if you do it right, and we know that. Talk about that. Talk about branding a lot. Talk about optimizing your pages. Because, well, as you know, I mentioned it briefly before. When you start marketing, you should start with solid foundations. It's like building a house. I always say that. You build that house badly, it might get there, but it'll take longer to get there. I talk about how we create an ideal customer. So, and what I try and get someone to do, what I try and get everyone to do, every business owner I work with to do, and I'm just doing this at the moment, like I say, with someone new I'm working with, is look from the outside in, because everyone in their business looks from the inside out, and we all do it because we know what our business is, we know why we do it. I know why I do my job, and I know why I love doing my job, and I know the pleasures what I get. But people on the outside don't know that. So people on the outside have different reasons why they would hire me. They're not just going to hire me to make me happy. They're going to hire me to make themselves happy. So one thing, what I do with these videos, again, it mirrors what I do with clients that I work with, is get them to look from the outside in. So look as that potential customer, that avatar, and every piece of content I put out for everybody I work with, and they're all different businesses. Some are similar businesses, but it's with that ideal customer in mind. And moving on, as much as I start with the very basics, again, I talk about metrics, vanity metrics as we call them. And the vanity metrics are like, you might put a post out and it gets a few thousand likes. Well, they are only vanity because they're just showing that those people have seen it. But again, what I talk about is getting those vanity metrics more targeted to as being from your ideal customer, which is what you want. You know, you're always going to get your outliers, as you call it in research. You're always going to get your outliers, aren't you? You're always going to get your people that aren't your target audience engaging with your content and whatever. I even go back to what is reach and what is engagement, just like your terms so people understand. I talk about why I don't boost posts because I don't ever boost posts. None of my clients do. I talk about easy user experience. So going back to that, going from the outside in, a big thing I'm a big fan of is easy user experience. Because as you know, people out there, sometimes it's a bit of a generational thing. The younger ones, for example, don't send emails, and they don't really like talking on the phone. It's what I find. The younger ones like to comment or message because that's how they do it all nowadays. You can do everything from your phone now, everything, can't you? You know, um, so it's again having different communication options out there, depending on your avatar. Um, Going back, we talk about driving schools, as you know, as much as your avatar is a younger person, it's the parents often that I find do the inquiries nowadays because the younger people, they're either too shy to do it or the mummy
Yes,
and
yeah,
daddy does it for them anyway, or, you know. Um, and then I talk a lot about one thing, as you know, with any marketing, I think I'd say probably 80% of it is your content,
yes, they
content
do everything
marketing.
for them, don't they?
Well, yeah, I won't with my daughter. She'd be like, "What are you doing that for?" She'd tell me off. I've been trying to book her
Yeah,
graduation gown and she won't let
yeah,
me. She has to do it. Do you see what I mean? That's whatever. So I talk a lot about how to attract your ideal customers with your content, with how everything's set up. Harry, get up. Um, and and like I say, so much of social media it is all about your content, what we call selling without selling. So focus on that a lot. What we call selling without
yeah.
selling.
So I think a lot of people think they're doing all right with just random posts, and as I didn't realise until you got hold of us by the scruff of the neck that if you do two Facebook posts within a few hours of each other, basically Facebook kills them. Uh, yeah, about posting too often on Facebook.
Yes, spamming. Yeah, I talk about spamming as well. They're quite strict on spamming. People don't realize
This would
it,
be
and
fun to
especially
edit.
now, like I also I have covered a video on this about the new Meta AI inspired newsfeed, which everyone who's gone on Facebook saying, "Why is my newsfeed a hot mess?" But if you actually go on TikTok, the FYP, the For You page, um, basically they've mimicked that, where so much of it is what they know you'll engage with, so much of it is what they think you'll engage with, and then they'll throw random stuff in, just seeing if you engage with it. And that's the AI inspired. And when people talk about inspiring on your in your phones, well, yeah, of course they are. How do you think they get all the data for adverts and stuff? Yeah. So one thing, another thing as well, when we say about selling without selling, is the platforms don't like you openly selling unless you're paying to sell, which is understandable, isn't it? So one thing I talk about a lot with people and the content is how you can sell your product without selling. I'm not saying never do. I work with companies and we do what I call a promo post where we'll say this is what we sell, but we don't do it again. We do it kind of engaging. We try and do it without saying buy this because the platforms don't want you to say buy this because they want you to pay them to tell people to buy it. So yeah, we talk about that quite a lot. And you've learned that as a driving school. I mean, we never sell driving lessons, do we? It one thing people struggle with is not being salesy, and that's because what we talked about, they are inside the business. So again, as you know, anybody I work with, I don't ever not sell because if you've got something to sell, you've got to sell it. So I don't ever not because you can't, like you just pointed out, you might have a new instructor for new areas. You need to tell people you've got that instructor for the new areas, and you need to get that out, push that out there. And again, I talk about that's just reminded me. I talk about using groups, how we use groups. So basically, what I've done here is taken my strategy to bits and then put it into little videos to help someone. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that someone's got to do from this is just make sure they do it. And that's it in a nutshell, isn't it? Um, you know, but again, I talk about time blocking. Making time. We all we all should have a day for our own admin, um, and we should have a day for our own admin and incorporating it into that. And if you watch these videos and learn it and understand it and get everything all fixed on your pages so that they're all optimized and whatever, and all you've got left to work on is your content. Yeah. Well, they sound like it's like anything. You know, if you're not sure how to do something, a quick Google will tell you how to do something. Setting up 2FA, you can Google how to set up 2FA across. In all fairness, you always find your 2FAs in these settings of all your accounts, all your social media. But it's about, you could do your content. You could do your weekly content. You could create a week's worth of content in a couple of hours a week. And that includes your videos and your images and whatever else. And that's basically, yeah, it's try. What I find with a lot of businesses who don't know what they're doing is they copy each other a lot. You see that? I see gardening companies. You see gardening companies, and they all look like the same company because they all post the same stuff. I tell you what, it's like anything. What you're starting at new as well. You're learning.
That was a bit of a challenge with the TikTok, particularly with the theory test questions of not wanting to do exactly the same as anybody else. Now we're only 3 weeks into it, so I think we've still got to develop a unique style with that. But at least we've made a start and got something on there anyway. But I think from my Oh yeah, yeah, and there's so much more to do because I look at some on the TikTok and some of the video creations there are on there, and I think, oh yeah, that will take a little while to sort out. But some of them, it, there are some short, snappy ones that are sort of a montage of different things. I think, hey, I need to learn how to do that rather than just one thing, like what I sent you today for the theory test. But anyway, that's something for us to learn about. Um, so rather than try and battle against all the gremlins, it's sort of summing everything up. So this hub of videos is available now, or is going to become available fairly soon.
Yeah. No, it is available. I can send you a link to
Yeah,
add
okay.
to wherever you pop the
Yeah,
podcast, if that's all right.
yeah, certainly do
I
that.
do have a special offer.
Right.
I may do you an even better special offer. But yeah, I'll get that sent over this evening with my special offer. I have got a special offer, but for example, podcasts or whatever, I'm running an extra special offer.
Oh,
Just because I
right.
always think if people are listening to podcasts, they're interested in developing their businesses.
Yeah, yeah. And sort of a monthly subscription, and with more to be added as you go
Yeah, that's
along.
kind of the plan. I didn't want to like overwhelm people to start. But yeah, um, to me, there's plenty to go on with, and as much as they're only shortish videos, some people might find them quite intense. So yeah,
Yeah, and I always find with the long ones that I have to stop them anyway and just go, and sometimes go back over bits because I need to listen to that again and again and again. So it's much easier if they're in a small one. And I think, well, I've only got that to
exactly.
concentrate on. I can now. There's
Yes,
another video I can go to about the next bit, not having to. I need to do this. Then you go off and do something else. You got to think, well, how far into that video
yeah,
was the next bit? It's much easier if it's bite-sized bits.
but yeah, exactly. This is it. It was yeah, it's basically obviously breaking everything down into smallish points.
Yeah,
It's difficult because some people like you to go into more detail, and some people just want enough detail.
yeah,
So what I'm
yeah,
hoping from this is that there is enough detail, and if people want me to dig into something deeper, I've even said on it, people can email me and just say, Alison, I've got a question for you. Oh, could you go into that one a bit
yeah,
deeper? And that's not a
yeah.
problem. Like I say, a lot of the videos have been inspired from questions I'm either asked or I see in social media manager
Right.
groups. I see asked a lot. And there seem to be, the same question that's asked again and again. And yeah, if I had £1 for every time someone said to me, "Well, I've got a stupid question," I'll be like, "No, you haven't, because it's
No.
not anything I haven't been asked
Yeah.
before."
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah. And it's feeling able that you can
it's like you
ask.
mentioned TikTok, but we are just in the learning phase of that. So
Oh yeah, very much. So
yeah, I've never had a problem people asking, because people. The thing is with a question is you could go off to Google, and I've known people do this, and they can spend hours looking for an answer because there's different answers or things are out of date.
yeah, yes, yes,
Or they'll come and ask me, and it'll be 2 minutes later they'll have an answer. So
yeah.
that's the idea
Well, that's
behind the videos.
yeah. I find say that a lot of stuff is out of date. You go to follow them, and what you've got on screen is totally different to what they've got because they did theirs 2 years ago, and everything's been updated since then. So,
The problem with as well, Kevin, as you'll know, is the platforms. Facebook only 2 weeks ago, there's been a big update on the pages. I wonder if you've noticed it, because I have. As in, when you're sharing posts, I went to share one of my page posts when I'd done this update, and I'm like, "Where's my groups tab? Oh, it's moved." Silly little things. Now that's one example of a thing that got updated, but there was a big update a couple of weeks
right,
ago on
yeah,
Facebook that I've noticed because of my job. And that's, let's talk about settings. When I work
yeah,
with someone new, right? It could be a month after I've worked with the last person, or even 2 weeks. And what I've learned is to just check that my instructions for them adding me as an admin, for example, are still the same. Because I did once have it change within 3 weeks, the way that you added someone. Yeah.
oh
So
right,
that's your issue with when you go on the internet Googling, right? Is the platforms constantly are updating. I don't know why, because to me, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. But that's my saying. Um, that's
yeah,
why the information is so out of date. And again, yeah, using my video as an example, it's most update
yeah,
information. And if there is updates, then obviously I'll be making videos on those when it comes out. But you could be overwhelmed by the
yeah,
amount of
yeah, and so it's much if you've got one person who you can rely on rather than the problem with going to YouTube or something is there are so many different people on there, but you never seem to go back to the same
yeah,
person again unless you subscribe to their channel, and it's finding somebody that you feel you can rely on as well. I think is really important, and when you do find that, you stick with them.
definitely. There's one thing where I stay ahead of my game with is that I follow a big social media marketer in America. She's actually Scottish, but she lives in America, right? And one thing I've learned about Facebook and Instagram is America are 2 or 3 months ahead of us in the UK, right? So if something big's coming there, we're getting it. And I've seen this happen. And it's really made me feel ahead of my game because I'm like, oh, there's this coming, and it'll be
Right?
something good.
Yeah.
If it's important to my clients, I'll tell them. If it's not important and it only matters to me, then I don't waste the time, because if I wasted time with every update, they'd get nothing else done. But that is one thing, because she's
Yeah.
in America. It's how I know all about this AI and the Meta news feed and why everyone thinks it's a hot mess and things like that. But I,
Right.
I knew that was
Yeah.
coming before, in all fairness, it was a really good thing for me as a marketer to know about that before it was coming, instead of it just it's there. And yeah,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
the problem with YouTube and Google. Now, when I say you can Google answers, the only advice I would give is, if you're Googling, say, for example, something to do with a setting on Facebook or Instagram, find the Meta help pages. Don't look at these random blogs. The Meta help pages are not always up to date, but they are often up
Right.
to date.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like a big part of my job is to keep like all
Right.
these up. I mean, even TikTok. I just started TikTok with yourselves and realised there was things there that I'd updated that I didn't know about, even though I've been running TikTok for someone else for 3 years. Again, do you see my point? There's constant, you just can't keep up with it. It's why when I said to you, I said,
Yeah.
I've created a TikTok manual and I stopped updating
Yes.
it because I couldn't keep up. So I just stopped doing it in the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
it was a case
yeah.
of one or two of the bits on there. I thought, well, no, that's different now. It's not, but yeah. Right. Look, let's. I think we've battled the gremlins long enough here. So it's going to be fun trying to edit some of this.
Um,
But so you're going to send me the link so everybody can actually go and have a look at it and
yeah.
decide what they want to do. And hopefully, those who are keen to actually get on and do this for themselves will be able to subscribe to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if they hired someone to do it, having one thing, as you know, when I work with clients, is I share my knowledge with them. So even having their own knowledge, even if they were planning on hiring someone, is really good. It benefits me when the client understands the basics of a platform. It really benefits me. And as you know, I kind of work with people. I don't just do it all or whatever. Yeah. Do you know 90% of my job, and I say this, is waiting for people. I'm sure it is. I think, oh, in an ideal world, I know my schedule, what I'd like people to work to, but sadly, people have their own schedules, and I have to remember that. So it's not 90%, but I can honestly say half my time's wasted waiting for things. When I say wasted, because I'm waiting for something, I've got that in my mind while I'm concentrating on something else.
Yeah, I know, and you badger people to get their stuff done. But yeah, it is good to have an idea of what it all involves as well.
Honestly, half my job, and I say this honestly, is I'm waiting for something. I'm always, in fact, no, I'm not waiting for anything today, but I nearly was. And you know, that's that's half my job is waiting. Half of it's the planning and writing, and then I just spend the other half like, right, come on. And then I think, right, well, I'll do something else while I'm waiting, and then you know what'll happen as soon as I do that? The thing I'm waiting for comes in, and then it's all at once, and that's how it is. But yeah, as long as it means you get your content out there, then I'm happy. I've done my bit.
Yeah, and you've got a fair bit of content from us for our Friday roundup this week already, because I had a little badger at people yesterday, and then like you just said, a whole load came flooding in. Right, look, let's because it is getting to the time of night. Well, I think I think the internet's getting a bit tired now. So, Alison, thanks ever so much for doing this. I, yeah, I think it's probably the internet or the platform telling us about time you went they had a rest. So let's finish it there because I think there's plenty of information on there. And yeah, thanks ever so much for giving up the
Yeah.
time for doing this. So
Yeah.
I'll put all the link into the notes at the end of it, and hopefully people will show enough interest to come and have a look. Okay, right.
Yeah. Let's
I'm
hope
not sure
so.
whether
I hope
you're
it'll help them
hearing.
all as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Oh, good. That did get through. There is obviously a delay on this somewhere. Alison, I'm going to stop it there and say thank you very much for joining me today.